By 1804, France and Britain were at war. At first, Americans took advantage of the United States' neutrality, but France and Britain soon began seizing American ships. Britain, in particular, started a campaign of impressment, the forced enlistment of civilians into military service. Royal recruiters would literally kidnap men to serve at sea, usually a death sentence because of the brutality of life as a British sailor. Beginning in 1806, the British Navy halted American ships, in one incident killing 3 people and injuring a dozen others. Although Britain apologized, the American public called for President Jefferson to declare war. All told, between 1808 and 1811, the British impressed around 6,000 Americans. To address British aggression, Congress passed the Non-Importation Act, banning the import of British goods. Before the act could be enacted, however, a British attack on the USS Chesapeake in 1807 inflamed American public opinion. President Jefferson feared going to war against Britain, though, and proposed the Embargo Act of 1807, officially prohibiting the export of goods from the United States to all countries. The Embargo Act crippled the United States economy. Without foreign markets, American manufacturers, merchants, and farmers faced ruin, while the embargo hardly affected Britain and France. Congress repealed the act in 1809 and replaced it with the Non-Intercourse Act, which allowed the United States to trade with all foreign countries except Britain and France. Ultimately, what became the War of 1812 came anyway. Congress declared war in June 1812. Both countries were unprepared. The United States military was weak, while Britain's resources were strained by its war with France. The United States sought to invade British Canada, but with the exception of the burning of York in 1813, which is the present-day city of Toronto, these efforts failed. After concluding its war with France in 1814, Britain focused on the United States, leading to the ransacking of Washington, D.C., where the British set fire to the U.S. Capitol, the Library of Congress, and the White House. After a series of battles, the British invaded New Orleans in January 1815, but they were defeated by General Andrew Jackson's force of 7,000 Americans. A month later, the war was officially over. British and American representatives had met for peace talks in the city of Ghent in what is now Belgium. Despite several American victories, the conflict was a stalemate, and neither side could force concessions. The United States wanted neutrality and to end impressment, but the British refused. Britain wanted to maintain territory and ties with the Native Americans, but the United States refused. Ultimately, the Treaty of Ghent that was signed in December 1814 left the American and British relationship mostly as it had been before the war. News of the treaty did not reach British warships in time, though, to stop the Battle of New Orleans. The combination of American victory in New Orleans and the treaty signing caused many Americans to forget that the United States had not achieved any of its objectives. Instead, the Americans felt great national pride in defeating Britain twice within 32 years.